Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maureen O'Connor from Quilters Heaven in Northbrook, Illinois, and I am the Opinionated Quilter. Today's episode, number 66, is foundation paper piecing versus traditional piecing. I know I've touched on this before, but I feel it's time to touch on it again, as Kimberly from the Fat Quarter Shop just released a video of the top 10 tips for better pieced blocks. And while I agree with everything else in her video, this is the one area of disagreement. I like foundation paper piecing when I need to use it. When you can do traditional piecing, I think it's a much better way. Less money, less time. Let's get to it. Kimberly's video talks about supplies. I use the same thread, I use the same rulers, and I use the same seam ripper even. She likes to starch, I like to starch. She may starch a little bit more than me, but we still like starch. One thing I've said over and over again is make a test block. She says number 3 tip is make a test block. Then she gets to number 4 and 5. And in tip number 4, and we will have a link to this video because it is really good and it is worth watching. Number 4, she says, if you can make your block bigger and trim down to get perfect accuracy, that's a tip. She likes to do that. Well, that's how Deb Tucker does everything. So we're going to go specifically into the 3 types of units she talked about. Because in tip 5, she said, anytime I can use foundation paper piecing for accuracy, I do so. That's my problem. I only want to use foundation paper piecing if I have to. So let's compare the difference. Let's talk about money. People often say, I don't want to buy another tool. Well, if you compare the Tucker trimmer that does half square triangles, it does quarter square triangles, make hourglass units, or combo units that's part half square triangle and part quarter square triangles. The list price of that ruler is $27 on Deb's website. It covers 11 sizes and all 3 of these types of units. If you compare triangles on a roll, they're on sale right now for $8.74. Regular price is $12.48. So if you take the 11 sizes of half square triangles, and that doesn't even count the hourglass units, the quarter square triangles, and the combo units, it would come to $137.28 at regular price and on sale at $96.14. So your investment in a tool is much less than if you were buying paper. And if you say, well, I wouldn't do all those sizes, if you only did 4 sizes of the 11, it's still on sale more than the $27 for the Tucker trimmer. So it's a much better value to get the Tucker trimmer, and you don't have to buy more papers when you run out. You still have your ruler. I know over time rulers do wear out, but these specialty rulers, you don't use them every day like your 6x24 ruler that after several years you do need to replace. I've never had to replace any of my Tucker trimmers, and I've been using them for years and years and years. The next thing she talked about was the square and a square ruler. And that list price on Deb Tucker's website is $30. And it covers 6 sizes. The paper that Kimberly uses is It's So Emma. She, from what I understand, has purchased the Triangles on a Roll business and rebranded it as It's So Emma. I may be wrong on that, but that's my understanding. If you purchase It's So Emma foundation paper, they're $9.98 each. And they do have all the same 6 sizes. And so that would equal, if you bought them all, $59.88. Well, that's almost double the $30. So you are, again, much better off with the square and a square ruler from Deb Tucker than purchasing individual papers that, again, when you run out of that size, you need to rebuy it. I've got more to show you. I'll switch out the whiteboard and be right back. The last foundation paper piece product that Kimberly was talking about was for flying geese. So the Deb Tucker flying geese rulers are called the Wing Clipper. There's a Wing Clipper 1 and a Wing Clipper 2. Now, if you do a lot of flying geese, you know that the width is always double the height. So in flying geese, it's 2 by 4, 3 by 6, 1.5 by 3. It can also be then in quarters and 3/4. Can be 1.25 by 2.5, 2.25 by 4.5. So there's 2 rulers. The first one, which is the one you would use the most, is the whole and half. Those are the more common sizes, and that ruler does 10 different sizes. The Wing Clipper 2 is the one that does the quarters and 3/4 sizes, and you would use that less, but if you make a lot of flying geese, you will find patterns that do call for those odder sizes, and that has 9 sizes on it. Both of the list prices are the same, $30 on Deb's website. At It's So Emma, the flying geese paper is $9.98 each. She only has 5 sizes as opposed to the 19 sizes between the 2 of these. And of those 5 sizes, 4 are in the whole and 1/2 category, and 1 is in the quarter and 3/4 category. So if you take the 4 sizes that they have, $9.98 times 4, it's $39.92. So it's already more than $9, almost $10 less than the price of the ruler, and you get all those additional sizes. And once again, you don't run out of papers and have to repurchase them. So there's other considerations besides the price of the papers versus the price of the rulers, or tools, as Deb likes to call them. There's a lot of waste in foundation paper piecing. So in the Deb Tucker version, traditional pieces, you do have very little waste. There's some waste, but that's because we oversize everything and trim them down to perfect. Both ways, and I failed to say this on the start, both foundation paper piecing and Deb Tucker's methods of overcutting and trimming down, all accuracy is equal. You get excellent accuracy with either method. So despite what I say, if you choose to do foundation paper piecing, that's absolutely fine. I mean, you get to choose how you like to piece your blocks, but I'm making the case for why I think one is better than the other. So you have less fabric waste with the Deb Tucker rulers, and you don't have paper to throw into the garbage or recycle bin. Also, there's a time consideration. At least when I foundation paper piece, I prep my pieces to make sure they're the right shape with the right angles so that when I put them on, they turn out okay. So it's time for prep, and even if you don't prep much, you still have time for paper removal. So rather than sitting in front of the TV, people say they just pull the paper off then, you could be hand stitching binding back. I think you have a better use of your time available to you. The last thing that I don't think people consider much is paper dulls your rotary blades and it dulls your needles. So there's an accelerated need for replacing your rotary blades, and we all know they are not cheap. Needles are not cheap. So if you have to replace your blades and needles more often, that's an additional cost. So it's, to me, when you make a decision as to which way you want to do something, I think people make better decisions with full information. So pick which way you like to do it. And I think you'll get real good outcomes on your blocks. Now, I do want to point out, I did tell you that there were two different wing clippers. Besides the one Tucker trimmer that I mentioned to start out with, the Tucker trimmer 1, there's a Tucker trimmer 2, and this covers, instead of the whole and half sizes of half square triangles, quarter square triangles, and combo units, this one covers 3/4 and 1/4. So you could do half square triangles that finish to 2 1/4 rather than 2 or 2 1/2 that the first Tucker trimmer covers. So there's another one that covers those in between sizes. Since these only go up to 6 inches, she also has the Tucker trimmer 3, which goes all the way up to 12 inches. So if you are doing bigger blocks, these are available to you. Whereas I've never seen triangles on a roll or anything big enough to cover anything this size. Last are her square and a square rulers, which I covered just the first square and a square ruler. But now she has a 1/2 inch ones. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There's also halfway in between, the half sizes, 1 1/2, 2 1/2, etc. And then lastly, she has the really big one that's so big, it's actually 2 rulers. The way she describes it is, she says, if I put this all on one ruler, it would be so big you all would be mad at me. So it's 2 pieces. But this is the one that I use when I do the square and a square, when I have directional fabric, as in the animals, the animal heads. I've done those on point quilts a few times. And this is the ruler I need to do those, because the squares of the heads of the animals are so big. So I find that I actually use this one a lot. So we really have solutions in the traditional piecing that that the foundation paper piecing doesn't always have. And I think you get a better value this way. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, happy sewing.